more sustainable supply chain. Between 2020 and 2023, the adoption of electric vehicles in logistics has accelerated, with major brands like Nestlé, Monde Nissan, and IKEA leading the charge toward a greener future. Backed by supportive government policies and industry investments, the shift to commercial EVs is gaining momentum. But this journey is not without challenges. Businesses still face hurdles in infrastructure, charging networks, and operational costs. As companies expand their electric fleets, concerns over range, charging infrastructure, and cost efficiency remain top of mind. How can logistics operations seamlessly transition to electric vehicles without disruption? Join us as we dive into the challenges and opportunities of integrating electric vehicles into FMCG and furniture logistics. Together with industry leaders, we explore how sustainable delivery solutions are transforming logistics, one fully charged EV at a time.
One business takes on many challenges. But when they're beyond what one can solve, it'll take more. Each one pitching in to form seamlessly linked solutions. And with a partner to innovate and collaborate, we can create better experiences than we ever could alone, to become more valued than we'd ever be on our own. Because there's nothing greater than working as one to make an impact in people's lives. Redefine our greatness. Globe Business.
Sinong mag-aakala na ang dating maliit na bayan ng Pulo sa lalawigan ng Bulacan ay magiging isa sa mga tinitingalang lungsod sa Pilipinas? Ang kasaysayan ng lumang bayang ito ay salaysay ng kabayanihan at pagpupursigi ng mamamayang dito nanahan. Ito ang kwento ng pagunlad ng Pulo. Isang sinaunang pamayanan na isinilang sa tabi ng ilog. may sariling pinuno, may sariling kabuhayan, may kalayaan. Nang dumating ang mga Espanyol, ito ay naging bahagi ng may kawayan. Naging pueblo de Pulo at parokya sa pamatnubay ni San Diego de Alcala. Naging bayan ng mga mangangalakal at magsasaka. Sa pagtagal ay humiwalay ang mga bayan ng Obando at Novaliches. Ang maliit na bayang ito ay nagsilbing tahanan ng isang batang lalaki na lingit sa kaalaman ng lahat ay siyang babansagang pinakadakilang anak ng bayan ng Pulo, si Pio Valenzuela. Habang nag-aaral ng medisina, naging katipunero si Pio. Nagsilbing manggagamot sa panahon ng Rebolusyon. Paglaon, naging isa sa 3 pinakamataas na pinuno ng samahan. Hindi inalintana ang panganib sa buhay at pamilya. Buong tapang na tinupad ang mga misyon at tungkulin para sa bayan. Dahil sa kanyang buong pusong paglilingkod sa bayan, ipinangalan kay Valenzuela ang dakilang bayan kung saan siya isinilang at pumanaw. Mahaba man ang pakikipagsapalaran para sa pagbabago, katulad ni Dr. Pio Valenzuela, ang bayan ay napupuno ng pag-asa at pagsisikap. Sa pagdagsa ng mga negosyante, nakaranas ng kakaibang kaginhawaan ang mga taga rito. Bagamat dayuhang maituturing, napansin ng mga namumuhunan ang potensyal sa pag-usbong ng industrialisasyon. Sa pagbubukas ng mga pabrika, nabigyan ng hanap buhay ang maraming manggagawa. Sa pagsusumikap at pagpupursigi ng mga mamamayan, nakilala ang ilang bukod-tanging Valenzuelano na mayagpag sa kani-kanilang propesyon sa larangan ng sining, edukasyon, hudikatura, serbisyo publiko at iba pa. Maging sa industriya ng media at pagpapalabas, nakilala ang Pulo bilang pangunahing lokasyon ng malikhaing paggawa ng mga pelikula. Naging saksi rin ang bayang ito sa pag-iisang dibdib ng hari at reyna ng pelikulang Pilipino. At noong 14 ng Pebrero 1998, ang bayan ng Valenzuela maituturing ng isang urbanisadong lungsod sa Metro Manila. Kaakibat sa pag-angat ng syudad ay ang mga pinunong nagsumikap na maitaas ang antas ng pamumuhay sa lungsod ng Valenzuela. Sila ang nagtatag ng pundasyon para sa makabago at mas disiplinadong Valenzuela. Pinatunayan nilang sa mabuting pamamahala, anumang pagbabago, hamon at suliranin ay may katapat na aksyon at solusyon. At ipinaramdam sa taong bayan ang tuloy-tuloy na progreso ng lungsod tungo sa mas dekalidad na pamumuhay ng bawat pamilyang Valenzuelano. Kilalaman ang Valenzuela bilang industrialisadong lungsod, hindi maisasang tabi na ang pamilyang Valenzuelano ang prioridad dito. Pagsasaayos ng mga serbisyong magdadala ng kaginhawaan sa pamumuhay, lalo na't sa kalusugan ng bawat isa. Magbibigay karangalan sa kalidad ng edukasyon at magiging katuwang na mga magulang sa bawat mag-aaral. Itataas ang antas ng pamumuhay tungo sa mas disiplinadong pamayanan. Garantisadong mapapanatili ang kaayusan at seguridad sa mabilis na pagresponde sa anumang sakuna na paparating. Mas pinadali at pinaiinam ang serbisyo sa pagpoproseso. Sinisigurong makabuluhan at kapaki-pakinabang sa nakararami ang infrastruktura. Pinapangalagaan at ipinagmamalaki ang ekoturismo ng Valenzuela. Nililinang ang bagong henerasyon sa larangan ng pampaalakasan. Iniingatan, pinayayabong at ipinagbubunyi ang sining at kultura. At nagbabalik tanaw sa kasaysayang humubog sa ating lungsod. Kaya hindi nakapagtataka na marami ang humahanga sa modernisasyon ng lungsod. Ngayong ika-400 selebrasyon, gunitain natin ang tuloy-tuloy na progreso. Ating pahalagahan at suportahan ang mga ilulunsad na proyekto para sa pamilyang Valenzuelano ngayon at ng susunod pang henerasyon. Magpapatayo ng mas marami pang himpilan para sa serbisyong mapagkakatiwalaan. Magpapanday ng pangunahing daanan pang transportasyon na magdadala sa atin sa mas mabilis at mas maginhawang paglalakbay. Magdadagdag ng mga liwasan, kolumbaryo, palaruan at libangan. At patuloy na gagawa ng mga proyektong angkop sa pangangailangan ng mga Valenzuelano. Sama-sama nating itala sa susunod na mga pahina ang panibagong kwento ng pangarap, pag-asa at tagumpay ng ating pamayanan. Dito sa tahanan ng bawat pamilyang Valenzuelano. Maligayang ika-400 taon, lungsod ng Valenzuela.
We're in driveways, on highways, down expressways every day. And we can see a difference in the way things are going, what people are using their motors for work and play, friends and family, likes and loves, for moving towards hopes and dreams, for moving products, companies, and the economy, for a life of forward progress. People never just need a motor or a car. They need mobility. They need to be empowered to get where they need to be and want to be in the best way, to the people and things that matter dearly. All of these things that people move for, that people move towards, are worth it. That's what makes everything you do, everything we do at AC Motors, worth it. Every single dealership that we set up helps people move better for themselves, their businesses, and their families. Every one of our expansions helps scale so many hopes and dreams. Every added brand of ours helps bring choice and a new kind of energy to every person's ever-evolving life range. We help individuals, businesses, and the world keep moving through a continued kind of care. And in this changing world, we're changing for even better too, going beyond motors, beyond AC Motors, into becoming ACMobility. Beyond support for what is, providing support for what will be. As the first mover building the infrastructure to empower an electric new energy of mobility so we can move freely, cost efficiently, and responsibly. An electric new energy that will move us all towards a better way of driving and living. With everything that we've done, are doing, and are enabling for the future, this is just the beginning. There's so much to look forward to as we collaborate together so we can all move forward together. And we'll get there by knowing what we move for. Our purpose? We empower you to move forward. Whether you're a private vehicle owner or a commuter, whether you're on the road for personal reasons or for business, every reason for moving matters. And that's why everything we do matters. Everything we do now and tomorrow and in all the days moving forward will help ACMobility achieve its vision of being the leading mobility provider for all by 2030. So let's move forward with motors for people, businesses, communities, and the world we want to live in, to true mobility that changes everything. ACMobility, we empower you to move forward.
Again, we'd like to take a moment to share a safety briefing to ensure your comfort and well-being throughout the event. Please give your attention to the following important safety guidelines and emergency procedures. We are delighted to have you here and hope you are enjoying your time with us. As this event is hosted in a high-rise building, it's essential to familiarize yourself with evacuation procedures. In the unlikely event of an emergency requiring evacuation, please follow these steps. Identify the nearest exit, which is clearly marked. These exits are located in the elevator area ahead. Emergency guidance will be displayed on LED screens throughout the venue. Follow the displayed instructions to locate the safest route out of the building. Stay calm and avoid rushing. Follow directions from staff and emergency personnel to ensure a smooth evacuation. Extend assistance to anyone who may need help, including the elderly, children, or individuals with disabilities. Safety is a shared responsibility. Once outside, proceed to the designated assembly point located at a safe distance from the building. Staff members will conduct a head count to confirm everyone's safety. Your safety is our utmost priority, and these measures are in place to ensure a swift, organized response in case of an emergency. Should you have any concerns or require assistance, please don't hesitate to contact our event hotline 0917-820-9831. Again, 0917-820-9831, or approach our Liveable Cities staff for help. Thank you for your attention. We look forward to an inspiring session ahead. With that, may I request everyone to stand up for the Philippine National Anthem.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang magiging hewas ng sinakanan, alam ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuyag ka ng magiting, sa manlulupin, di ka pasisingil, sa nagatang tutok sa simoy at sa langit mo bagaw, ay hinatang tula, kawin sa pagkayang minamahal. Ang matawad mo'y tagumpay na nag-iindig, ang bituin at karoon niya kailan ang may magdidinig. Luman ang araw ng walhagin pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Ang inigaya ng pagkay bahagi, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Kindly take your seat as we begin today's lab and turn our attention to the screen for some reminders. Thank you for joining us for the 7th Liveable Cities Lab of the year. To officially kick off today's event, may I invite to the stage Mr. Bill Luz, Chairman of Liveable Cities Philippines, Chief Resilience Officer of the Philippine Disaster Resilience Foundation, and Chairman of the Rizalino S. Navarro Policy Center for Competitiveness at the Asian Institute of Management.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Patrick. And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 7th Liveable Cities Lab for the year. I'd like to welcome you here, first of all, to the 37th floor at Ayala Tower 2. And I'd like to also welcome our viewers on Zoom and Facebook Live who are watching us today. A warm welcome to all our viewers, and I'd like to thank a few organizations for their support for this today's event. The League of Cities of the Philippines, Globe Business, ACMobility, and Mober Technologies. The transportation sector remains one of the Philippines' largest contributors to greenhouse gas emissions, accounting for 30% of the total, with road transport responsible for over 80%. As our population is projected to reach 142 million by 2050, primarily concentrated in urban areas, the demand on transportation infrastructure will grow exponentially, making sustainable solutions critical. While EVs currently comprise less than 1% of the vehicle population, the passage of the Electric Vehicle Industry Development Act in 2022 has marked a turning point. The legislation mandates the inclusion of EVs in government fleets and aims to increase EV adoption to 10% by 2040, setting the stage for cleaner mobility. Since our previous discussions on mobility, this is our third actually. We had one in September 2021 and in May 2023. The EV and mobility landscape in the Philippines has started to evolve and to grow. And we're particularly happy today because we're getting closer to having the full ecosystem join us in a panel to discuss what the future brings with EVs. So this lab serves as a platform to address key barriers such as high costs, limited charging infrastructure, and regulatory challenges, while showcasing the economic, environmental, and social benefits of EV adoption. You will note that today we're featuring not only EVs for passenger vehicles, but EVs for commercial vehicles and for mass transit. We're also featuring, when Mayor West comes in, EVs for use by local governments, and they are, I think, very interested in the use of EVs. So we've got a great panel ahead of us, and I'd like to start with our first speaker. He is a visionary leader at the forefront of driving innovation and sustainability in the mobility sector. He is Chief Executive Officer of AC Industrials, Ayala Group's industrial technology arm, and which oversees a diverse portfolio of companies in manufacturing and mobility. And he also leads ACMobility, a platform offering a comprehensive range of mobility solutions, including automotive distribution, dealership, after-sales services, and electric vehicle infrastructure. He serves on a number of boards within the Ayala Group, and today he's going to share ACMobility's forward-thinking strategy for advancing electric vehicles in the Philippines. Ladies and gentlemen, my pleasure to introduce Jaime Alfonso Zobel de Ayala, CEO of ACMobility. Jaime?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Bill, for that introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to host you here at Ayala. I'm very excited about today's lab, which is made particularly special by a few fellow speakers that we have. I'd like to acknowledge the Honorable Mayor West Gatchalian, Mayor of Valenzuela City, and a big supporter of this initiative. My sincere thanks to Mr. Freddie Tinga, friend and colleague throughout this journey, and Mr. Dennis Nam as well for joining us at this forum. To our partners at Liveable Cities Philippines, headed by Mr. Bill Luz, thank you for helping us bring together to discuss how this initiative can really empower and enable a lot of the lifestyles that our communities are asking for. And of course, to everyone watching online, welcome. We are here because we all share the desire to make our communities better suited to the evolving needs and to a changed world. Your presence as the movers and shakers in your respective fields underscores the importance of collective action and cooperation among stakeholders if positive change is going to happen. So thank you for joining us here today. Several of these lab sessions have been conducted across the country, focusing on a range of topics from education to health, disaster resilience, all with the goal of fostering more livable cities. Today, we zoom in on a topic that I truly believe is core to enabling communities, which is mobility. Accessible, reliable, and efficient mobility improves both productivity and the quality of life for individuals and businesses alike. So allow me to use today's forum by sharing some perspectives on how advancements in the automotive industry can help answer some of the most pressing problems we face together as communities today. We've seen how innovations in technology have reshaped our way of living, innovation being a catalyst of lifestyle enablement. Innovations provide more efficient ways of achieving something than the traditional technologies. Innovations in mobility, in particular, have been key pillars of many waves of industrialization and innovation. From the first bicycle, car, the first steam engine, to many technological advancements in transport today, the world has progressed leaps and bounds through these innovations. As a result, economies have become more productive, and life for many has gotten better. But there is also no denying that the traditional forms of mobility have put a massive strain, frankly, on global resources and inadvertently on our population's health. The World Economic Forum estimates that the automotive industry contributes 10% of global emissions, with the impact primarily coming from fuel consumption over the course of the vehicle's life cycle. In the Philippines, studies have shown that the transportation sector accounts for 1/3 of the country's greenhouse gas emissions. In key urban centers such as Metro Manila, which is home for many of us present in person, the transport sector accounts for over 70% of air pollutants. That is not something to be taken lightly. Air quality in the Philippines is not ideal, and it's been linked to illnesses that affect both lungs and the heart, with up to 11% of total deaths in the country attributable to air pollution exposure alone. So how then do we balance the need for mobility which plays an indispensable role in the modern world by serving as a catalyst for progress and development, with also ensuring that our progress does not come at the expense of our health or the planet or the communities that we live in? If we want to see our dream of livable cities become a reality, we need to transform mobility by introducing more sustainable alternatives. These technologies exist here today. New energy vehicles, or NEVs, solve so many urban problems we face today at once. There are real long-term benefits to this technology. At the community and larger national levels, they contribute to decarbonization goals and help reduce air and even noise pollution. It's because EVs basically have no direct emissions during use, as there's no exhaust like the traditional vehicles that exist today. Meanwhile, indirect emissions from the consumption of power are closely linked with the renewable mix in the energy grid. All in all, recent estimates show that new energy vehicles can have up to 70% less emissions over the course of its life. But aside from the environmental benefits, there is one other advantage that new energy vehicles offer, which is protection against price volatility of oil and a lower total cost of ownership. Okay? This means that at the individual level, where the difference is more readily appreciated, your peso goes further with a new energy vehicle than a traditional combustion engine. And throughout an NEV's life cycle, an owner is able to save more. And to show what I mean, we've crunched a couple of numbers for you. First, price competitiveness of the new energy vehicles has improved significantly and continues to improve. As battery technology develops, manufacturing expands, there's more economies of scale, we can expect these engineering powerhouses to become more and more affordable. Several third-party studies show that we're likely to reach price parity by 2027, driven mainly by the rapidly declining cost of batteries worldwide. Second, comparing any new energy vehicles and traditional cars side by side using key assumptions, you can see how much you can save if you make the choice for new energy vehicles. Add to the fact that they cost less to maintain, with fewer parts requiring replacement over time, which results in a lower total cost of ownership, meaning you can save up to 18% for individual customers, and in some cases, even businesses. Over the past few years, we've seen incredible growth in the NEV segment, globally and domestically, and we expect this to continue. In the Philippines, although NEV segment makes up less than 1% of total sales today, we strongly believe that with inherent cost advantages, benefits, new energy vehicles have the potential to account up to 40% of sales in the industry by 2030. From just over 600 battery electric vehicles and hybrids on our roads in 2020, we're now seeing over 24,000 units being driven all over the country. In regions like Thailand, which has seen remarkable growth, we've also seen these patterns in other markets in our neighborhood, like Indonesia and Malaysia as well. New energy vehicles have the power to reshape people's relationship with mobility. They offer benefits such as lower cost of ownership, again, the cleaner urban spaces, and a safer, more enjoyable driving experience. However, these can only be realized if the required infrastructure is put in place. In order to support the shift and create more value for shareholders and stakeholders, both individual customers and the communities that we serve, ACMobility has set out to create solutions that elevate the new energy vehicle experience. We see mobility not as a barrier, but as an enabler. Our purpose is to empower you to move forward and to make possible the lifestyles that people imagine through well thought out, comprehensive mobility solutions. We've been hard at work over the last 12 months to put together what we believe is the most comprehensive new energy vehicle platform in the country today. From the vehicle to the charging infrastructure to the online and offline customer experience, we have been working closely with our partners in the local government to help shape this experience and meet the needs of these communities. We have a portfolio of automotive brands within ACMobility, but there are two very special ones. In 2023, we signed with BYD as the Philippine distributor of the world's largest EV maker, and to date, we have launched 7 new energy vehicles with cutting-edge battery technology. In our portfolio as well is Kia, which has released 2 state-of-the-art EVs, the EV6 and the EV9, and we expect more to come in the coming months. You'll find that each NEV in our portfolio can meet you at any lifestyle or any life stage at price points comparable to the internal combustion counterparts. And I'm proud to announce that ACMobility brands now represent nearly 75% of the fast-growing new energy vehicle market here in the Philippines today. With this rapid increase in new energy vehicle ownership, we at ACMobility are committed to ensuring that everyone has reliable access to charging facilities, whether it's at home, in public spaces, driving destinations, or in offices to support business fleets. With our investments in charging infrastructure, our goal is to make sure that each driver feels safe and comfortable taking their new energy vehicle out to the farthest drivable points in the country. We began 2024 with just 20 charging stations. It gives me great pride to say that we closed October with over 100 charging points in the country, producing a total of 300,000 kilowatt hours and powering an average of nearly 17,000 new energy vehicles. By the end of the year, we're looking at over 250 charging points in over 100 locations across the archipelago to expand access to safe, intuitive, and reliable facilities that we will transition towards this green mode of transport. Within ACMobility's growing ecosystem are new and innovative solutions which we believe have the potential to redefine the mobility experience. Our digital solutions app, Evro, enables customers to discover and pay for charging on the go. Our design and installation teams at Greenstrom ensure that charging solutions are built to the highest standard, both at home and in the public, and they are constantly looking for new solutions to bring out to the market. The soon-to-be-launched Power on Wheels solution takes the charging experience to customers directly. There will be more of these over the next few years, and we would like to welcome partners who would like to venture on this journey with us. Similarly, our pursuit of innovation has allowed us to introduce different ways and experiences for customers to learn about electric mobility. To that end, we are proud to pioneer a different kind of format through the BYD Experience Hub, which we inaugurated last September. It was designed to be more than just a traditional showroom. Its purpose is to provide an immersive experience when customers walk into the store, featuring interactive devices that allow them to deeply engage with the technology. It's about creating a hands-on, up-close experience to show how sustainable mobility can create a positive impact in their lives. We take pride in being one of the first movers in this fast-evolving space. Freddie might have beaten us to the punch there, to be honest. But with our growing portfolio and expanding suite of products and services, we're well-positioned to lay the groundwork for an electrified future. We're uniquely placed to build and connect the integral parts of a stable ecosystem around electric vehicles. Being part of a diversified group allows us to forge and harness synergies that would otherwise require more resources to execute. Every day, we continue to find ways to catalyze the transition to new energy vehicles, working with partners both within and outside the Ayala Group. And today's forum is an excellent opportunity for us to learn, exchange views, and share experiences. And as I close, I invite you to engage with us. We'll be more than happy to walk you through the solutions that are available and help you with your mobility requirements. ACMobility is one of a growing number of players in this rapidly evolving space, and we are excited to welcome more and more people onto this journey with us. Today, I'm really proud to share the stage with stakeholders who are equally committed to improving Filipinos' lives by embracing e-mobility solutions. I'd like to take this opportunity to address my fellow speakers, each one whom will have a convincing case for the shift towards sustainable mobility. To Mayor West, who has shown that LGU's openness to integrating EV technology in their operations can be a positive step in creating more value for their communities. To Dennis, who's demonstrated that there are bottom-line benefits and business applications of EV technology, as exemplified by your thriving logistics business. And of course, to Freddie, our friend, you've proven that public riding experience can be enhanced through your e-buses that are already plying some of the busiest roads in the country. And I, for one, am very keen to hear from the three of them today. And with that, thank you, and I look forward to today's dialogue.
Thank you, Jaime, for the presentation on the passenger vehicle side of the ecosystem. For those of you interested, by the way, you can make an appointment for a test drive. The test drive is not today, by the way, but you do make an appointment, and the ACMobility people will contact you and set up the appointment for a test drive. So we encourage you to take advantage of that offer. From the passenger vehicle side, I'd like to move to the commercial delivery and logistics side of the ecosystem. Our next speaker is Dennis Nang. He is the founder and CEO of Mober Technologies. It's the country's first same-day delivery platform using EVs. Since its launch in 2015, Mober has grown exponentially, starting with just 10 driverpreneur-owned vehicles, and now operating a fleet of over 500 vans, providing reliable same-day delivery services across Metro Manila and key provincial areas. For those of you who buy products from SM, IKEA, Samsung, Picaroo, chances are your shipment may be delivered by Mober Technologies. We actually first met Mober way back in 2019. I don't know if you remember, Dennis, at the Liveable Cities Summit. Before, I think you were really fully EV. And then we had a chance to meet a few months ago at your event, talk about how you were doing in the EV market and to meet some of your users. He's got over 20 years of entrepreneurial experience, and he has successfully built ventures across various industries. But I think this one with Mober is quite interesting as he rapidly expands the capacity and the ability to carry so many products from businesses to consumers. So let me please invite Mr. Dennis Nang, founder and CEO of Mober Technologies, on stage. Dennis? Yeah.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me here today. I think Jaime already explained to everybody the potential of EV, the benefit of EV, but now I will explain or share with you how big is the market in the logistic. There's a big market in the logistic wherein we can transition into EV. Like 90% of supply chain, GHG, is coming from the supply chain, right? So we are just one part of the supply chain. We are the transport, we are the last mile, mid mile, and first mile, right? So next slide, please. So for Mober, so we're here to transition the ICE logistic to an EV logistic, to a green logistic, right? There are so many challenges. I'm not here to scare everybody, but I'm here to share with you so that everybody can see also there's a big opportunity. So next slide, please. Okay, our journey, we started with 2 EVs 2021. When IKEA opened, we gave them 2 EVs, 2 small EV van. And now, Mober has 160 EVs. Trucks, vans, and tractor head. Yes, a tractor head. I'll show later. So we're growing our business as a logistic. We do an end-to-end delivery, but I believe that one is not scalable for us as a startup. We need to scale faster. So we realized that there are a big opportunity in helping the small truckers, the mom and pops. We call it the mom and pops, who can transition to EV right away. Right? One, we don't have the infra yet. I hope that ACMobility can do it faster so that we can help the mom and pops trucker to transition to EV, right? So that's our mission next year. We build our businesses, we build and help the mom and pops to also transition to EV. And we also prepare for the 3.0 because we're building our fleet. We're looking to build it to at least 1,500, 2,000. If we have that much fleet, then there will be an after sales, the maintenance. So if we are offering them the leasing and the rental, then we might as well help them do the maintenance. Next, please. So again, the market is big with the e-commerce boom in the Philippines. It's quite big. I mean, we have a 5% plus CGR every year. So again, when you look at this slide, there are around 500,000 registered transport, the LT100 type, the small AUV, right? Those are registered from in the LTFRB. So imagine if we transition the 500 into EV, that's a low-hanging fruit. Next, please. So transitioning to EV, we have to account the carbon, the CO2 that we save, right? And it is a computation. If we reach 469 EV truck, then we will save 1,500 tons every year. So for Mober, we are required by our investor to have our own ESG department. They're very strict. So we only receive investment from an impact fund venture. So they required us to monitor our CO2, our sustainability, our good governance, and even in hiring our driver, which we don't call them driver, we call them GDS, Drink Delivery Specialists. In our own little way, we help the driver feel that they're special when they drive an EV, right? So we are strictly monitored by our investor to comply with our ESG. Next, please. So, Mober, how do we do? Well, what do we do? We help businesses transition to EV or to make their delivery greener without having them to invest. We all know that EV on the commercial side is still very expensive. I'm glad that on the consumer side, it's at par now with the ICE, but in the logistics side, it's quite expensive. So we are serving EV in 6 cities. We are in Cebu, Cagayan, Iloilo, Davao, and Bicol. So we're proud to say that we at least have 85% utilization, right? And that's how easy to maintain EV. To support the EV community, it's easy to maintain, right? If an ICE has 200 plus parts, EV I think only have 46. So we have to just make sure that the 3 big parts are the most important, are the battery, powertrain, and controller, right? So again, we monitor our ESG. Next. So I just want to share that transitioning to EV is something that very achievable. I mean, we were awarded this year. I'm so grateful or surprised that Forbes Asia Philippines, Forbes Asia 100 Asia recognized Mober as a sustainability. We're only 3 in the Philippines out of 100. So next, please. So who are our stakeholders, right? As I mentioned, we only accept investment from Impact Fund. CSEF is Southeast Asia Clean Energy Fund. They invested, I think, several startups in the Philippines, rooftop solar, and if you also notice that most of our clients are the blue chips company. They're very committed to their net zero program, right? So we're very diversified also from retail to FMCG and all the way to the freight forwarding. Next, please. So when we purchased our EV, we started our own R&D. So when we buy our EV, we have to find the right OEM. In China, there are so many EV producers, a lot. Then I think in the next few years, there will be only 40 manufacturers. The rest will just disappear. Because the competition there is so tough. In fact, if we buy EV from China and have it shipped here, it's cheaper. But I will not encourage you because there will be no after sales support. So better buy from BYD. but on our side, on our logistics side, and I think ACMobility hasn't gone into the commercial, right? So we have to buy from China, and we have to do it from scratch. We have to learn the technology. We have to do our own maintenance, and then in fact, because of our challenges, because of the challenges, because of all the birth pains. So Mober now is buying our EV separate from the battery. Yes, it's like we're buying the cab and chassis, then we buy the battery direct from the supplier. So we have to be very creative so that eventually we can bring down the delivery fee lower than an IC. As of the moment, we offer the same price, right? If the diesel will tell you it's 500 pesos per delivery, we match it by offering 500 also, but using IC, EV. Next, please. So I think the event today is really very good because if you look at this one, there's a lot of stakeholders. There's a government there, there's a client, and there's the user and the partners, right? So we are very fortunate or thankful also to the government through the EBITDA law because that one day of no coding, right? For consumer, I think that's a bonus, right? But for us in logistics, it's a gold mine. One day of extra revenue for the next 5 years. It equalizes the cost of the buying expensive delivery EV versus an ICE. So we're very thankful. And a lot of people from our community have been telling me, why don't you lobby to remove the VAT from the importation? I said, just leave VAT to BIR and so that we can enjoy some of the benefits the government is giving us. That one day extra revenue is more than enough for us in the side, right? Next, please. Next, please. Okay, so for the last 3 years, we have built our unique business model. So we offer EV, the blue chip company, they approach us, and we also develop our own TMS, the transport management system. It's proprietary so that we package it with our service, right? So we not only offering EV, but we also make sure that the route optimization is robust so that we can cut also the time in the road, right? Then for the strong competitiveness, I think we're proud to say that we're creating a moat here because as we build our fleet, I think Freddie will notice as we build our fleet, competition will be very tough, right? But for Mober, we position ourselves in a logistic company, then position that moat, but we will help the mom and pops to transition to EV. At the same time, they also serve our deliveries, so that we can create that standard and offer it to the businesses that signing contract with us a very standard and better service. Right? Next, please. Okay, I'll be showing you our fleet. This is our 4.495 tons. Right? It's a payload of 2.5 tons. The battery is 53 kilowatt. By the way, in Mober, we customize the battery order. We have 53 kilowatt, we have 80 kilowatt, we have 100 kilowatt. Depends on the route, depends on our client. So there's no such thing as one size fits all in the EV logistic. Because if we buy all 100 kilowatt and we cannot fully utilize the battery, that's the most expensive part of the EV is the battery. So we try to customize it to our needs. Next, please. Yes, this is a tractor head. It has 282 kilowatt battery. It can hold 39 tons. It arrived 2 weeks ago. We're just waiting for the LTO to give us the ORCR so that we can showcase this in the road. This one is a 6-wheeler tractor head. It will be commissioned to, I think, Nestle in Cagayan de Oro, so that they can haul from the warehouse, the factory, just there. Next, please. Yes, this is autonomous, driverless, 5 CBM. Yeah. So we're bringing this in Wari. I don't think LTO will allow us in this. And I don't think the technology will also allow us here. But this one will be served also inside a controlled environment, right? So this one will be sent to Mondelisin, I think, for their transfer from their warehouse to their staging, right? But we're also looking to deploy this inside PESA because it's a control, right? So this one is 5 CBM autonomous. Yeah. Next, please. Next, please. Next, please. Yeah. So here, these are the roadblocks. These are the challenges, the biggest challenge for us to grow faster. Okay. For the commercial EV, there's no banks yet willing to finance. As in, we have to bootstrap everything, right? So I hope BPI will. But the pain here is like last week, the other bank gave us 150 units approved loan. So when I saw the guy from BPI downstairs, said, "Sir, you're here." I said, "Okay, yeah, I'm here. I will pitch again. I hope they will reconsider because they are the first one that I approach because I have a friend in BPI Capital. Said, Dennis, go to BPI. Okay, they said they're waiting for the market to mature. I said, why don't you go to BYD? And it's being matured now. So anyway, yeah, that's the biggest hurdle that we are experiencing. I hope this will change next year, right? Imagine Mober has 150 plus fleet, right? What more the mom and pops? How can they get the financing for them to transition, right? So this is our motivation to help the mom and pops so that once we get a credit line from the bank, then we help them transition. Right? Next, please. Okay, this is scary also. I don't know. I think in the consumer car, you don't have a problem with you have your own BMS, right? But for us in the logistic, when we purchase our EV, it's a very basic one. So we have to develop our own BMS, the battery management system. It's real time in our office. We can see each battery if it's overheating. It's very important how it fluctuates while charging, while moving. So we need to know because it's very dangerous. So we develop our own BMS so that we can monitor all our EV. Right. Next, please. So this is how it looks like. Right? We have our own BMS. We can see, and then we can also see in real time the SOC, the state of charge of each EV. So that when we dispatch, we know which EV are still have enough charge, right? So we can dispatch more. So again, EV and technology should go hand in hand. Right? Next, please. So infrastructure, I'm glad that ACMobility is doing the charging, right? But if you do the charging inside the mall, our truck cannot go inside the mall. So for Mober, we have to set up our own charging hub. So this is very costly for us because we have to start setting up. And the most expensive is like getting the cable from the Meralco poles all the way to our charging hub. That's really expensive because we have to capex that, right? They will not do it to us, right? I'll show you the next one. So we're building 3,000 square meters charging hub in Macapagal. If I think everybody knows Dampa, right? In front of Dampa, there's a HK Sun Plaza. That's a property by SSS. So we're able to rent out 3,000 square meter. We're building or we're installing 50 AC chargers, the slow charge, and we're putting around 120 kilowatt fast charger to support our 100 units. So eventually, Mober will be building 2 more charging hubs in the south and in the north. But this one will be exclusively used for logistics. So what we are building in the south, somewhere in Laguna, we want to build a big charger hub there so that the other mom and pops can go there and charge. At the same time, we will just give them a co-working space, because in the Philippines, when you do delivery, they still have to get the proof of delivery, the hard copy. So that while they're charging, then they can do their business there. At the same time, we'll help them, and we allow them to use our BMS, we allow them to use our TMS, transport management system. So this is a crazy idea, but I think it's achievable. I am from Bicol, so I want to connect Manila all the way to Bicol. We realized that we only need to install 4 to 5 fast charger. After all, the drivers need to rest, right? So when they're resting, they can charge, right? But the opportunity here is, in Bicol, there are so many buses. Every day, we call it South Road buses. From Bicol to Manila, they can use this. I mean, Freddie, you can go to that space, right? I guess that's sorry. Yeah. Next please. Ready. So again, we have our own BMS, we have our own TMS, and we also customize our EV procurement. We buy our own battery separately, because when you ask your OEM, when you sell the EV, they will tell you 40% of the EV cost is a battery, right? So in the logistics side, when we buy our battery direct from the supplier, the cost now in China is 600 RMB per kilowatt. So if we have 50 kilowatt, so that's around 200,000 pesos. Compare if we buy everything from our OEM, then they charge you the EV, they put a markup there. So that's why we are able to find ways to buy our own battery. Next, please. So again, to recap, yeah, our vision is to grow our logistic business, and we only use EV. 2, we have the mom and pops transition to EV, right? And 3, when we're talking to FMCG, the like of Nestle, they choose 10, 20 of their trucking partners, and we just let them use our EV. Because we also need to understand that we need to train the driver on how to use the EV. The difference between driving an ICE diesel and EV is totally different, opposite. On your first gear, when you're driving a diesel truck, dapat malakas yung gas, right? On the EV, dapat mababaw yung apak. Kasi grabe ang kain ng battery. Right? Next, please. So I want to share also with you, as a proud Filipino startup, Mober will go live in Bangkok. This one is because IKEA saw our our effort, our passion, and they wanted us to serve their IKEA members in Bangkok. So in fact, they're asking us also to go to Malaysia, but I said this one at a time. Right? Next, please. Next, please. So these are our fleet. This is a gallery. Like we also have electric tuk-tuk. We're crazy enough to buy this electric tuk-tuk from India. This electric tuk-tuk can load 650 kilogram net, 110 kilometers. We're refitting this to make it a refrigerated one. We want to use this to deliver cakes from the commissary to the branch. You know why? Cake has two days shelf life. If they use the refrigerator for 3 drops, the last drop will be 6 o'clock in the evening. So that's 1 day of the shelf life gone. So they want to experiment if we can do this one tuk-tuk, one branch, one tuk-tuk, one branch. Right? So we have 4 of this. We're trying to find somebody who can give us a cheaper and efficient freezer. Right? Again, I showed that this is a tractor head. Yeah, next please. So this is our fleet in IKEA. We call them GDS. Right? We have around 70 units now with IKEA. And all EV, all 100% EV. Next, please. So yeah, I've been very busy for the last 2 years. Been traveling to China. We have several fleet. On the middle one, that's like a transformer. It's a very big one. But I opted to buy the one that I showed you earlier because the cost of this one is quite expensive. But the technology for this one is really good because it's battery swapping. You can swap, but you have to build the swapping station now. Next, please. Video. Next one.
'Cause I love you for infinity. I love you for infinity. 'Cause I love you for infinity. I love you for infinity.
This one is good for barangay, a multi-purpose EV. It can be a fire truck penetrator. Tapos if there's no water, they can supply water. If there's a drought, then they can use that or they can use it to clean the street, right? So this one, I think this one is less than $1 million. Yeah, it can do around 120 kilometers. Per fully charged, right? So I'm showcasing this one because I heard that there's a lot of LGU who's listening. I think this one can be a good start. And this unit can also be a small garbage truck collector. But anyway, again, thank you. Thank you for having me here.
The future of logistics is electric. Across the Philippines, industries like FMCG and furniture logistics are leading the way by adopting commercial electric vehicles, transforming how goods are delivered to homes and businesses. From fast consumer goods to IKEA's iconic furniture, companies are embracing green delivery fleets to meet the demands of a fast-paced world while ensuring a cleaner, more sustainable supply chain. Between 2020 and 2023, the adoption of electric vehicles in logistics has accelerated, with major brands like Nestlé, Monde Nissan, and IKEA leading the charge toward a greener future. Backed by supportive government policies and industry investments, the shift to commercial EVs is gaining momentum. But this journey is not without challenges. Businesses still face hurdles in infrastructure, charging networks, and operational costs. As companies expand their electric fleets, concerns over range, charging infrastructure, and cost efficiency remain top of mind. How can logistics operations seamlessly transition to electric vehicles without disruption? Join us as we dive into the challenges and opportunities of integrating electric vehicles into FMCG and furniture logistics. Together with industry leaders, we explore how sustainable delivery solutions are transforming logistics, one fully charged EV at a time.
So thank you, Dennis, for the really comprehensive report on logistics and commercial delivery business through EVs. And good luck with your service delivery to the mom and pops, and good luck and congratulations actually on your expansion into Bangkok. Good to hear. Yeah, congrats. That's great. Okay, so our third speaker, we'll switch gears again, and our third speaker will speak about more on the transit side of the ecosystem. In particular, I guess, not quite mass transit, but moving a lot of people from companies from around the city, sort of an employee shuttle system. Freddie Tinga is the founder and president of Global Electric Transport, or GET. He's also, I guess, together with Mayor West, I think the speaker who's spoken the most often here at Liveable Cities. I think this will be Freddie's third appearance on. Both Freddie and Mayor West are speaking for the third time at Liveable Cities, because this is such a topic of great interest to people, and we like to revisit these topics to show the growth of the business, the growth of the industry, and the growing interest actually in this particular trend. Freddie, I guess, has a good mix because while he's been in the transport sector for a while, he himself is a former mayor, so knows what it's like for LGUs. And he's put together a great business, and it's rapidly growing. So ladies and gentlemen, let's please listen to Freddie Tinga for GET.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much. Thank you for having us, Bill.
Every day,
it's nice to see
millions of Filipinos face one of our country's biggest challenges: transportation. Endless traffic jams, inefficient public transit, rising fuel costs, and worsening air quality. The system is broken, and the cost? It's more than just time and money. It's our environment, our quality of life. But what if we told you there's a better way? One that's cleaner, smarter, and already here. Meet the Comet, an electric vehicle that's not only changing the way we travel, but is also at the heart of an entire ecosystem built for the future. Since 2013, GET Philippines has been leading the way towards sustainable transport solutions, pioneering a future where travel doesn't harm our planet. We're not just a transportation service. We're dedicated innovators reshaping the way people move. At GET, We've built a fully integrated ecosystem that makes electric transport scalable, efficient, and sustainable. From our fast charging stations to real-time data systems and operational support, every element works together to create a seamless electric vehicle network serving communities nationwide. Our first and last mile solutions help employees and students reach their destinations safely and efficiently. And with a GetPass app, real-time tracking and seamless navigation puts them in control of every journey, ensuring smarter, faster travel. This is why leading corporations, educational institutions, and communities trust Get to deliver customized solutions that reduce their carbon footprint and improve their lives. We're not just building a better vehicle, we're building a better world. So join us in moving everyone to a better tomorrow.
Bill, thank you for having us. Excited to be here. Mayor Wes, nice to see you again, and we're hoping to be back in Valenzuela very soon. Dennis, a colleague in the EV industry, and we're so happy to be with Jaime today, who's been a very valuable partner in this space, and then we expect to continue working with ACMobility in the many years to come. So we're excited about this space because, as Jaime alluded to earlier, we probably were one of the earliest. I'm sure we weren't the earliest. We weren't one of the earliest. And so we have the most scars to show for this. I mean, if I knew then what I know now, this would have been such an easy transition. But, this is how you learn. So this is the compulsory slide for all of us who are in the EV space to discuss the problems. And we point out the problems because the business we're in really is a business of finding solutions. We didn't go into this to say, hey, we want to sell an EV. We said, hey, there's a huge problem in the world, in this country, and you're talking about pollution. You're talking about traffic. You're talking about high fuel prices. And there's a way to do it. And if you kind of see the scale of the problems that face us, both on the traffic side, the economic impact of traffic, and the health impact of pollution, the EV stands out as something that you can bring in to address both. I mean, both Jaime has said it, Dennis has said it, Bill has said it, and any forum you go to, this is going to be the topic. We just think we approach it maybe a little differently from everyone else. This is our take. Don't throw stones at us if you don't agree with what we're going to say. Because we said, okay, now that we're seeing all of this, what have we learned? So this is kind of our sharing with you. It's a huge market. Look at the public transport. I was looking at Jaime's slide earlier. A third of the pollution is the jeepney. So the jeepney is a problem, but it's also your biggest carrier of people in Metro Manila and elsewhere. So you cannot just say, okay, that's the problem, but in fact, it's also the transport solution for so many people. So right there in the problem is the solution. Let's figure out how to address this. So technology is coming to the rescue. Everybody's been talking about the EV. There was a forum we attended the other week, and it was an exciting forum for us because it was the first time that the forum said smart mobility and sustainable transport together. And we think those two go together. The technology that everyone bandies about mobile phones, and then you pair that with the electric transport, that is where the congruence, this is where things get together. Because here's the first point we're going to make is don't think that the EV alone is going to solve traffic. It will solve pollution. It will not solve traffic. So the more EVs you have on the road, you're just basically replacing an internal combustion engine vehicle. The other side of it is if you are happy with app-driven transport solutions, it's not going to solve pollution. So here you have two technical solutions that are great, but would be much better if you could put them together. That's what we're trying to do. Next slide, please. Okay. So this is not a dig against BYD. We work with ACMobility, we work with Ayala, and you will need cars, and you will need electric cars. But what we are saying here is if the car is the primary mode of transport for everyone in this country, we're dead. That's not how it's supposed to work. This is the bias we have from the Americans. Americans are a car-loving culture. And you will buy your cars and you will buy your BYD cars, just like we do. We'll talk about that later. But if you really want to address transport, then you have to figure out how this whole thing works. Mass transport is the way to go. Can we go back to that slide? Mass transport is the way to go. But if you go the subway or light rail, it's very expensive. The bus, the jeepney, they actually hit a sweet spot cost-wise and utility-wise, efficiency-wise. So that's why we're saying that's the way to go. The subway, for example, this was started before the term of this president of BBM, and it will actually be usable after the term of BBM. So can you imagine that? Can you tell the Filipino people, hey, we have a solution, but you gotta wait a decade for it. It just doesn't work that way. So this is what we're saying. The jeepney, the bus, the minibus, they're out there. They just have to be done in a better manner. And this is where the technology comes in. Next slide, please. So this is what we talk about. When we started in this EV space, people thought we were crazy. They just couldn't say it in my face because I was a former mayor and congressman. That's the truth, right? Now they can't say I'm crazy because I'm speaking with you guys. I'm with Bill Luz, I'm with Jaime, Alfonso. Okay, so I guess we're saying the same thing. But in that space of figuring this out and learning, you realize this will eventually be a commoditized technology. EVs will become a commodity, right? So whether I get it from company A, company B, company C, they just have to be a certain quality, but it will be a commodity. What is key to all of this is the people who use them and the people who run them, right? I'm excited listening to what Dennis is saying because he's figuring it out on the logistics side. And us being in this space, we understand change is hard to come by. We've spoken to so many people who basically didn't agree with us, but look at where we are now. Look at where Dennis is now. We're excited with ACMobility because they've got a young head who is willing to take risks. This is not easy, even for a guy with Jaime's last name, to take the risks he's taking in the space. I mean, we laugh, but this is no joke, because everybody's looking at him as the young guy who's saying, okay, this guy hasn't paid his dues, he doesn't know this stuff. But I think for us, it's right for them to put a young guy in a new industry because he's the one who's willing to take risks. Valenzuela's got a young mayor. We're going to expect big things from Mayor West. And so that's the kind of transition we're doing. And I'm saying this as me, I'm not quite your age, Bill, but I'm getting there. And I'll tell you why this business works. We have our general manager here. Her name's Dan Tirante. She started this business with me. She actually was with me way back in City Hall. And maybe a few months ago, we were talking about this. And she tells me, sir, I know more about electric vehicles than anyone in this country, including you. And she said that because she wasn't making yabang. She wasn't saying it out of turn. She was saying it as a matter of fact because in our business, and we're in people transport, and we're doing a lot of BPO, she's in the office 24/7. Not many people can do that, right? So she understands the business. My daughter who finished transport planning in the UK, she's got a classmate coming over here to consult for the subway. And she was just shaking her head. So it's these young people who will take over. please don't pirate them, okay? Because we need them. And this is what we're saying. It's the people who will be running these EV businesses and the people who will be using these EVs that are going to be the key to the transformation. We love the fact that the policymakers are starting to see the way we all are seeing it. But it does take time. And it is the young guys who are making the push to make this happen. Next slide, please. Okay, so first you gotta understand what the product is. Jaime mentioned it, Dennis mentioned it. This is about the CapEx, OpEx thing. The vehicle's still more expensive. I know the consumer products are going down in price, and they will start to be cheaper than the ICEs. In the space that we're in, and I think in the space that Dennis is in, it will take a while longer because the volume isn't there. Even if we converted every vehicle, every Jeep to electric, that's still a small part of the transport market. An auto manufacturer will look at that number and say, okay, that's interesting. And this is why, and nothing against the manufacturers, but this is why you see all of these coupled together Euro 4s, right? I mean, these are not real vehicles. They only exist in the Philippines because in any other country, they can't comply with the law, right? So that's not a car. That's not a vehicle. Consumer cars are. And this is why you're going to get the cost considerations. In our case, Dennis and I will have to work at it and wait a little while longer as we bring down the cost. But when you look at our operating expenses, that's where the margins are. So you have to turn a CapEx business into an OpEx business. So if I were going around selling these things in the PUV modernization program, I'd have a problem. Because right now, if I look at something that's of our quality, it's going to be $6 million. Nobody's going to buy it. So our operating model, similar to what Dennis is we tell the guys, transport operators, whoever, you want to do this, let's partner, and I can give this vehicle to you at half the cost, but then let's operate it together and share the profits. That's how you do it. So it's a new business model that you have to introduce to make this thing work. Next slide, please. Okay, maybe ACMobility has the bigger charger network now, so this is an old slide. But I think in terms of fast chargers, we've still got but you're up to 14 fast chargers or something like that. And we couldn't do what Dennis did, and Dennis is waiting for ACMobility to roll out the charger. We had to do it on our own. Yeah. And again, this is the advantage of this minibus jeepney-sized vehicle. The infrastructure for a vehicle of that size exists. I can use the malls, I can use regular parking. This is why we're not excited about the big bus. We're not excited about the 12-meter bus or the articulated bus. We were invited to participate in the ADB project to roll out those articulated buses in Davao. Good luck. I don't think that's going to work. If you're our size, if we're a tiny company with an even tinier budget, you've got to find a way to use existing infrastructure, right? So if we can set up chargers in malls, which we do, that's what we do it because our vehicles can go into those spaces, right? So try to make the vehicle human size. And this is why the minibus, the jeepney, the UV Express, they work in this setting. Next slide. And then it's the customer. Okay, so this is what we want to do with transport. Bill said we do corporate shuttles. That's the bulk of our business. We also do what's called shared shuttles, which is several users using the same space or the same bus. And this was our discussion with Secretary Bautista. And it's great that you have a guy who understands what we're all talking about here. We told Secretary Bautista, sir, you were the president of Philippine Airlines. You cannot tell me that your plane just flies one route, Manila, Hong Kong, Manila, Hong Kong. You move that vehicle or that plane around to where it is needed. So why is Philippine transport route based? If I have a client in the morning, if I'm running a public route in the morning and I have a BPO at night, and I move my vehicle to the BPO client, then I'm technically out of line. So the route-based model is antiquated. And to be fair to Secretary Bautista, he agreed, and this is why we do what we do, right? We don't do cash collections. That's the one thing we don't do. And by not doing cash collections, and we get this, we also avoid pilferage. Because pilferage is a big deal in the public transport space, right? You know, driver gets money, and you know, driver's sweet lover, so he's gotta take care of somebody else as well. So, you know, pockets a little change, it's good for him. So by knowing these guys, I know where Bill gets on, where Bill gets off. I know where Jaime gets on, where Jaime. You start tailoring routes. Okay, let me give you an example. You've got a smart elevator system here in this building, right? In this tower. So what you do here, right, is you press your floor, or they give you a floor, and they'll tell you which elevator to take. That's how transport works, or that's how transport should work. Can you imagine if you had a bank of what? You've got 8 elevators here. If you had a bank of 8 elevators here, and every elevator had its own owner. And if that guy running that elevator said, okay, at 12 noon, I'm done, and he stops, that's your public transport system now. Bara. No. So for us, we talk about EV, but it's really about creating a more efficient system. Next slide. Okay, I gotta run this. We got 1 minute, let's run through this. So we put it all together. Next slide, please. That's the system we're saying. It's gotta be a smart electric shuttle. You put data together. So we're actually more a technology company than we are a transport company. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is the Goldilocks space. I mean, you guys are gonna get a copy of this anyway. But this is why we're in this space. The only flaw we have right now is accessibility, because we don't have enough of those vehicles. But if you start balancing this, and the one thing you've got to understand about passengers, they hate transfers, okay? They hate transfers. So if I can give you a ride with minimal transfers for the same cost you're paying now, because you might think, okay, Jeep's cheap, tricycle's cheap and all that, how many transfers do you make, right? So this is all about understanding the passenger, the customer, and understand where they come from, where they go. So it's very similar to logistics. Dennis, who is in the logistics space, he understands clients don't do double handling. Okay, so how come in the passenger space we do double handling, triple handling, quadruple handling? It's not right. This is why you drive cars. This is why you use cars, right? So next slide, please. Focus needs to be on the passenger. Our data, over 65% of our passengers are women because they wait for it. The guys, they don't care. Okay. The women, they wait kasi sabi nila, hindi raw bumabagsak yung buhok nila, their makeup doesn't run. We didn't know this, you know, we found it in interviews. Number 1 reason women ride their vehicles, walang chancing. Imagine that. Next slide, please. And again, we're the only ones that have PWD accessibility. So we've served over 3 million passengers. So, you know, a lot of pain points. We've learned the only way you learn is by doing this. Next slide. Next slide, please. Yeah, like Dennis, we're starting to get the big clientele. Can you give me a couple of minutes to wrap up? Next slide. So we're just saying it works. You know, for those who are still doubting it works, we can work with the organization. We're up to we call it 6 because we didn't want to call it a 4. They said malas down, so we don't. And 5 wasn't good enough, so it's a 6. That new vehicle does 200 kilometers now, and it's cheaper than our old vehicle. So the technology is improving, right? And we will be back in Valenzuela very soon, Mayor West. Yeah. Next slide, please. Right place at the right time. We've all said that. You know, government is very supportive of this thing now. Next slide. Yeah, so this is why. I didn't come from transport. We learned the hard way. Dennis didn't come from transport. Jaime didn't come from transport. So we did not have any preconceived notions. And I think that's important in a new space. Otherwise, you will be anchored by the wrong assumptions. Next slide, please. That's the opportunity for us because every urban center in the world uses a jeepney-like vehicle. And this is what we've been telling people, and this is our pitch to DTI, is okay, we're all in love with the jeepney as an icon of the Philippines, but no one rides it. You guys don't ride it. You know, the last time I rode one was in college, and the minute I could afford not to ride it, I stopped riding it. And most of you have that. If you can avoid riding the jeepney, you will. Okay, so let's fix transport. And we think you don't need to fix it just here. So we're hoping to close a contract for Djibouti of 990 units. We should know in 2 weeks. So either this is going to be in my next slide or it's not, right? Ecuador's getting 10 units from us. Malaysia, we're pitching for their first mile, last mile with Prasarana. So we're also surprised, like Dennis, but it's true. And this is what we're saying. The solution to the world's problems will come from the places where they're needed the most. So we're desperate, we're figuring it out here, and we can share that solution to the rest of the world. Hopefully we get to talk to you, June, about your new cities that you're developing, and then we'd love to partner with you. Next slide. I think that's our ending slide. Yeah. So for this, we've been able to present our lane. Dennis presented the logistics. And you know what? When we work with clients, they tell us, okay, you're doing our corporate shuttles, we need our executive fleets. So we call on Jaime and say, hey, they need a couple of your BYDs as well. So it works, whether it's logistics, personal mobility, or shared mobility. We all believe that the future is electric, sustainable. And we'd love to help you guys figure out the next steps and be of service to you. Thank you very much. Maraming salamat.
Thank you, Freddie. I love the way, the passion with which Freddie delivers his pitch on electric vehicles. And good luck also in your ventures in Djibouti, Ecuador, and Malaysia. I think that's great. I think what this forum shows really is that it's great to take a look at these problems and crisis situations, because that's when we see some of the really creative solutions and the collaboration come about. So speaking of creativity and collaboration, our last speaker of the day, I think exemplifies this. He is the 27th mayor of Valenzuela City. He has been he's devoted much of his career to public service. He's been a congressman. He was a House Deputy Speaker. He's passed 64 bills into law and 22 resolutions. He has spoken, as I said, many times, I think now the third time at Liveable Cities Labs. The first one I remember is a topic with other mayors on intelligent cities. The second time, he spoke on why museums matter and why they're important. And you'll be surprised that Valenzuela is building so many museums and a museum trail, actually, that the mayor is putting together. He has also just won, and congratulations, Mayor West, his first Galing award in his administration. So congratulations for that. That's a very prestigious award among LGUs and among mayors. And we also know him to be a fan of electric vehicles and their use in the LGU environment. So let's please welcome Mayor West Gatchalian.
Thank you, Bill, and thank you likewise to Liveable Cities for inviting me once again. In Tagalog, nagiging suki na tayo dito sa Liveable Cities, Bill. And actually, this was supposed to be my fourth because if you remember, Bill, you invited me on the topic on flooding.
Yes.
But unfortunately, I was not able to attend. But thank you. This forums like this gives public servants like me the chance to share the innovation and creativity that we do in our individual cities. And likewise, my greetings to a friend, former Mayor Freddie Tinga, who's inspired Valenzuela city. Actually, we were one of the first cities where Comet first launched during the time of my brother, Secretary Rex. And actually, Freddie was the first to have all of this vision, and is one of the inspiration why we have this initiative in our city. Of course, Jaime, Dennis, the rest of our panelists, good afternoon. So, as a firm believer that the gradual shift to renewable source of energy can address the Philippines' problem of energy supply, I've been a staunch advocate of electric vehicles even before I became the local chief executive of Valenzuela City. In fact, during my time in the House of Representatives, I did not only lobby for the cause, but I'm also the principal author of Republic Act 11697, or what we now know and already operating, the Electric Vehicle Industry Development Act, along with Senator Witt. And this law lays the groundwork for the comprehensive roadmap for the electric vehicle industry and EV infrastructure, and offers incentives to accelerate EV adaptation, as well as aims to create potential job opportunities for local skilled workers and reduce nation's dependency on imported fuel. Back then when I was in Congress, it was so hard to lobby on a matter that not even all congressmen understands. So it's just so happened that I have a brother in Senate. Both of us were staunch advocate of this bill. And back then, we've been doing our research in the committee level and seen that other neighboring countries such as Thailand, Indonesia, even Hong Kong or China has been growing fast. No, in short, they already have the EV law way before, and we are actually late already. But pandemic actually came in. That was the same time we were fighting for this law. And unfortunately, the original version of my law actually has tax exemptions or for the importation, 100% tax exemptions for the importation of vehicles. And I remember correctly as well, I was fighting for the gas stations operators that they also get incentives whenever they put charging stations in their gas stations. But back then, the government needs funding. We were facing a pandemic. So it was slashed by DOF, but I'm very happy that despite of this all, it was passed into law. So now as a first-term mayor, it is my ardent desire to transform Valenzuela City and be known not only as an industrial city, but also a livable city. I am therefore in relentless pursuit to innovate and introduce initiatives that will move us closer to our goal and make our dream a reality, including the use of EVs in Valenzuela. And what better way to publicly manifest our serious commitment to this cause than to start in our police vehicles, one of the powerful symbols of our public safety and security. The advantages of this monumental shift can be encapsulated in the words AIR. So first, advance peace and order, driving harmony on every road. Disclaimer lang ho, no? So I was not allowed by COA to announce yet the brand of what the city will be purchasing, as we are ongoing right now the bidding process, etc. No, the paperwork. But just to let you know also that I'm very fortunate enough to be invited in the same hall upstairs, because Valenzuela City recently partnered with AC Health to manage our new medical center. So medyo siguro na nagigets nyo na I hope that I will be given the opportunity once again to be invited in this beautiful building. You know who owns this building, for maybe a signing ceremony one day. So anyway, for a community To thrive and feel secure, it is vital that our police officers are empowered with the resources they need to perform their duties effectively. Providing them with essential tools such as reliable vehicles ensures they can respond swiftly during emergencies, safeguards our families, and actively deter crime through a strong visible presence. Currently, Valenzuela has 535 dedicated police officers and using 62 internal combustible engine vehicle to patrol our city, serving a population of 850,000. While their efforts are commendable, we recognize the pressing need to do more and improve their equipments. It is against this background that we have allotted 75.7 million, 75 point, or close to 80 million for the procurement of 41 units of electric vehicles, majority of which will be assigned to the Valenzuela City Police Station, as we aim to be the first LGU in the country with the most number of EV police cars and the most number of EV charging stations throughout the city. This reflects not merely a willingness to invest in advancing our law enforcement capabilities, but a profound dedication to the safety, harmony, and well-being of every Valenzuelanos. By embracing electric vehicles, we are paving the way for quieter, more serene streets that inspire order and tranquility, easing the burdens of daily stress and creating a safer, more harmonious environment for all who share our roads. Second, igniting green initiatives. As a thriving industrial hub, Valenzuela, to those who's not familiar with Valenzuela City, we are an industrial city home to almost 15,000 factories, warehouses, and commercial establishments. Medyo konti lang po ang mga residential component namin. So, home to thousands of factories fueling our economic engine and countless vehicles traversing our bustling streets, including big trucks every day. One might expect alarming air quality levels. Yet, according to our City Environment and Natural Resource Office, CENRO, the air quality monitoring equipment provided by the DENR tells a different story. Data from 2023 to January 2023 to September 2024 reveals that our total suspended particulates, or TSP, consistently fall within the good or fair category of the ENR. In spite of this, our police cars emits 380,000 kg and 384,000 kg of carbon dioxide in 2023 and from January to August 2024, respectively. This is our second reason for getting EVs for our police force. Electric vehicles offer a cleaner alternative. They emit zero tailpipe emissions, significantly reducing air pollution and helping us meet our obligations under the Paris Agreement, as we pledge to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions by 75% by 2030, and the Philippines Climate Change Act of 2009, which emphasizes the need for sustainable practices. By adopting EVs, we set an example for not only industries but for other LGUs, providing that progress and sustainability are not mutually exclusive, but in fact intertwined, while still providing the same quality service to our constituents. Moreover, it aligns seamlessly with the Philippine Clean Air Act of 1999, which mandates the reduction of air pollutants. EVs run silently, reduce noise pollution, and leave no harmful emissions, which create a healthier and more peaceful urban environment. Imagine cities where children can play under blue skies, where families can walk the streets without inhaling harmful particles. A vision of livable city we must make real. And that's one of the things that I believe that the livable cities of the Philippines are lobbying to improve the conditions of every Filipinos in wherever LGUs, wherever cities they may live, or wherever LGUs managing that cities. This initiative is a proud cornerstone of our Go Green Valenzuela program, reflecting our steadfast commitment to sustainability. Complementing this is our city ordinance number 525, which we have our councilor is with me right now, Cel Sabino, the lead convener of this ordinance, which is aptly titled the Environment Code of Valenzuela City, which serves as a guiding framework to our environmental efforts. And more than just local action, this represents our heartfelt contribution to the national government's vision of a sustainable and thriving environment for the future generations. The third is revving up cost efficiency. Traditional vehicles come with high operating costs, rising fuel prices, and frequent maintenance strained by our local budgets. In fact, this year, the price of gasoline in the Philippines has fluctuated from 60 peso to 70 peso per liter. I don't know ilang beses na ako umakyat ito. I could hardly count it anymore. But in our case, in the LGU's case, we have spent hundreds of millions of pesos since I assumed office in 2022 for the diesel, gasoline, and maintenance of our service vehicles. So you will already see on the chart posted that from 2022 until 2024 of October, we have not finished the year, our gasoline and diesel expense is already around close to 200 million. The LGU is spending 200 million solely for the gasolines. Maintenance, we are spending almost around 100 million. So since 2022, since I assumed the office. So EVs, however, provide a more cost-efficient alternative. Number one, there's no need for PMS, no tune-up, no change oil. So the basic wear and tear na lang ang ating i-cover, like the tires, the brake pads, and little maintenance. Secondly, as Mayor Freddie mentioned a while ago, in every LGUs, we try to think of programs that there will be no cash intervention or use of cash within the units of LGU. And we know also that gasoline and diesel are on a cash basis. So there's a lot of pilferage also within the city that's happening. So removing the use of gas and diesel and going through EVs, it's already a big deduction on the cost and that burdens the LGU. So electricity is far cheaper and more stable than gasoline since EVs are powered by electricity. The same is far cheaper per kilometer than gasoline or diesel. Moreover, EVs do not need PMS aside from a few usual wear and tear, like what I mentioned already. EVs also have fewer moving parts that eventually fail and need to be replaced, which reduce the frequency and cost of repairs. As EVs use a simple one-speed transmission, wear and tear items like spark plugs, valves, and other parts, EVs are less expensive to maintain than their internal combustible engines counterparts. So basically, these savings can be redirected to critical areas like healthcare, education, and public infrastructure, allowing us to serve Valenzuelanos better. So as a closing, by aiming to be the first LGU in the Philippines with the largest fleet of EV police cars and the most extensive network of government and public charging stations strategically located in NLEX, MacArthur Highway, and Mindanao Avenue, we became torchbearers for the country. Wala namang emblem. So we still don't know who will be the partner of Valenzuela City. No? So it's just a rendition for visual purposes. Pinabahan ka agad ako itong Freddie. OWA, tumawag sa ating no? I think we have to change slide to our map. Yung map natin. Okay. Doon na lang tayo mag-concentrate, no? So, okay. So, what we plan to do is, as you can see in the map, this is the map of Valenzuela. And luckily, Valenzuela, I think, is one of the a few cities in Metro Manila who has what we call 3S Center or our mini government centers. So out of 33 barangays, we have 28 3S centers or mini government centers. So that's an advantage already because they're existing. It means may power source tayo doon, no? And it's already running. So we've studied that the critical areas or the most lucrative area where police can work around doing their duties. Remember, police cars are 24/7, being shifted by 2 or 3 teams, but using the same cars. No, so we will be installing 7 AC charging stations on the one on the red, no, on the red, and then this will be used by the police and government vehicles. No, and we will be installing 3 DC charging stations open to the public. And the location of this blue DC charging stations are first along NLEX within Valenzuela exit for those going to the north. One will be in City Hall. The NLEX is the one what we call one command center. I'm building a new command center. It's right beside Valenzuela exit. Next is in City Hall, which is along MacArthur Highway. And then the third one will be additional one in Mindanao Avenue, where the future subway will be. So we'll be putting up one public charging station there. And actually, I think we're missing one out because SM already has a charging station operating right now. So there will be 4 public charging station and 7 government charging station, making Valenzuela the city with the most number of charging station. So this is just the beginning of a transformative journey by strategically placing charging stations near major thoroughfares and vibrant urban centers. We are promoting the use and making the transition of electric vehicles effortless, convenient, and accessible to all. Anyway, before I end this message, by putting up charging stations around Valenzuela City, we're also promoting the use of EVs, no? Bakit ho? Dahil unang-una what I noticed, no, ang unang tanong palagi sa mga buyers ng maybe Jaime would know this better with BYD, but ang unang tanong palagi ho ng mga bumibili ho ng electric vehicles is where's your charging station? So now, Valenzuelanos will have more confidence knowing that the LGU is setting up these options for them. So doon pa lang po lalakas na ang pagbenta natin ng mga and the promotion natin of the usage of EVs. Secondly, Mayor, to quote with the good Mayor Freddie Tinga, yes, everybody here in this room, lalo na our panelists, distinguished panelists, who I'm very much honored to be with this afternoon, are all taking risks. This is a new product. This is even a new law. This is even not yet tried and tested by other LGUs. I think Makati bought 4 units, no? And other similar to corporate companies like NLEX. I've been seeing them in NLEX using a couple of BYD's vehicles. But to take a risk of establishing charging stations and buying 41 units for the police force is a risk that everybody has to take for the environment. No? And I believe that this is the wave of the future, as I've seen in the when I went to visit China recently and other countries. It's already normal to them using EVs. So it's about time that we do the same. And again, I would like to commend Mayor Freddie Tinga because his vision back then, imagine back then, this was when he was dealing with my brother, Secretary Rex back then, that was way 6 years or 9 years ago. Freddie Tinga, our good mayor, has already saw the vision with comment and traversing the public sector. So it's about time, I think, with this EV law that we passed, it's about time that we move forward and move to this direction. Thank you, Bill, and thank you to Liveable Cities. Good afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mayor West. Mayor, I must say, you are the first mayor I know to have reported your emissions by your police fleet in your city. I don't believe we've ever had a mayor talk about their emissions. So I think that it goes to show how aware and conscious you are and how much thought you've put into your transformation program to get into EVs. At this stage, let me have the stage set up and pull out some chairs. I'd like to invite our speakers to join us for the panel discussion. I'd like to invite our four pioneers and risk takers to join us. Mayor West, Jaime, Freddie, Dennis, join up on stage for a few questions. Okay. We have a few minutes for questions and answers from our panelists. Okay, we have a few minutes for questions and answers from our panelists. We have a microphone on the floor, and I'm going to take questions from the floor. I'll ask you to introduce yourselves and to whom you're asking your question. And I see a first question here already. Can we have a microphone brought over? Patrick, this gentleman, second question.
Can you hear me?
All right, yes, please, go ahead.
Robin Hughes, Clean Vehicle Solutions in Hong Kong. I've known Freddie and I've known Dennis since pre-COVID times. I have to say I've been to many of these around the world, and this is one of the most enlightening and informative sessions I've ever had. So thank you for both the invitation as well as the thing. I have a question that is a global question, really. What is the panel's position on subsidies for EVs in the country? Should the government be providing them?
You know, I think anytime you have a new innovation or new technology that has some cost challenges associated with adoption, in some cases, subsidies could be quite a helpful tool to try and proliferate more of the adoption. I think the question is about, where did the subsidies take place in the ecosystem to maximize the outcome that you want? I think a lot of governments recognize you have a significant amount of sustainability benefits, right? Lack of emissions from the product itself. There's a significant amount of savings for the consumer. We talk about how electricity is a little bit more, battery electricity is a little bit more efficient than fuel-based cars, and with that they provide a lot of cost savings. And I think whenever these kind of new innovations take place, you need an infrastructure and you need a lot of these adoption trends to take place. So I think subsidies are a good tool. I don't think that they are necessarily cut and paste on every single market. You have certain capabilities in certain markets. You have certain investments that governments are willing to take. And in some cases, some governments have significant fuel import or export products which they can use to subsidize part of that innovation. So I think it seemed to be working in a lot of these new markets. It's just a question about where you're going to be applying them and do they create the outcomes you want.
Yes, okay. Next question. Let's go to Architect June Palafox.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. Very visionary, forward-looking. Asian Development Bank appointed me as external consultant. Philippine Development Plan, 2023 to 2028. My comment was development in government is electoral calendar. 3 years, 6 years. Then my assignment from ATV was seamless connectivity in terms of transportation, public works, and DICT. And I mentioned there, I gave 105 pages of recommendation, reducing to 12 pages. But there are 32 modes of transportation: active mobility, walking, biking, and electromobility. Electromobility is in the Philippine development. Somebody has to pursue it. I used to work for Ayala, head of planning and architecture. In the 70s, 80s, real estate is location, location, location. Now it's accessibility, 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 mobility, 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 and connectivity, connectivity. We're hoping that we'll have seamless connectivity, but I think in the summarized version of Philippine development, the seamless is not there, I think. It's only mobility and connectivity. I think with that, in the Philippine development plan, we can pursue it. Like in Dubai, some of the master plan communities, dwelling units, condominium units being sold, you exchange your car to electric vehicle. It's part of the sale of the dwelling unit. So developers here, you might want to include that. And green financing, I think should be pursued. It's available in other countries. And even at Palamos, we have 12 games. One is green urbanism and green transport. Thank you very much for putting this here. And for Valenzuela, it will be the nearest from Metro Manila to big airports. Logan Airports, 4 runways, 120 million target. And Clark is also working on 3 runways, 80 million. So not because the mayor is here, it's strategically located. Thank you for allowing me to share.
Thank you, John. I see a question back here. Well, except the photographers are blocking our vision. But anyway, please go ahead. Go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is JP, and I am with the Philippine EV community. We are a community of somewhere around 40,000 mix of EV owners and those who are interested in getting an EV. I myself, I drive a battery EV. 2 weeks ago, I tried to drive on a single charge to Legazpi City. But so I appreciate the rollout of ACMobility and SMOs. And I'm also a homeowner of an Avida property. And so my question is maybe for those who do not have a landed property or own a condo, what are their options, or what solutions are you planning to provide for these potential buyers? It's for anyone.
I'll speak for Jaime. Just book their mobile charger.
When is it coming?
Well, your name was JP. Well, JP, it's great to meet you. You know, we see those EV communities on Facebook alive and active, and we try and meet as many of them from the community as possible. And it's great to hear your voice your concerns. You know, I think Mayor West had stated out one of the challenges with adoption here, which is to make sure the customer feels that the charging solutions are available to them when they need it. And I think, you know, that's really the beautiful disruption that this ecosystem makes. Unlike a gas station, because you can integrate EV charging infrastructure into different formats, you can bring the charging solution to the consumer where it's most convenient. That is what I think is actually fantastic about this innovation. It's not only cheaper than traditional fuel, but it brings the resource to you. And that is, you know, a key pain point that we've wanted to solve, because that's what we think will really drive adoption here, is the customer feeling that it's convenient for them. Of course, there are some limitations that we get to in certain condominiums and other certain buildings may not have the infrastructure to host the required energy needed to support charging stations there. To us, you know, when we get to that barrier, that's not the end. It's actually the pain point you want to solve for. And I have to give credit to our infra team, who's headed by Carla Buencamino. She's seated here. Happy to have her chat with you in a little bit. But her team is coming out with a variety of different charging solutions that can be used in those kind of formats.
One of the ones was mentioned by Sir Dennis earlier, which is we have a mobile charging truck, a DC fast charger, that will bring the charging experience to you directly. We have an application called Evro, which allows customers to engage and pay in the charging ecosystem. And through that, very soon, at some point, we'll be able to bring those solutions to you directly. That's just one of many innovative solutions we can provide. There's other DC charging formats that we can bring to parking lots and condominiums and other areas that will legally allow it, that can also charge quite quickly. And so, we're an organization that's built and has suppliers that can provide those kind of solutions. We just need to keep studying them and continue to build on.
Anybody else care to add? Mayor West?
Can I follow up?
Sure, wait 1 minute. June, I see a long line for questions. Let's take a question first, so we'll go back to June. Please go ahead. And I see a question here. Go ahead.
Okay, anyway, my name is Melvin Salamoy, president of CEO Consultancy. I'm a civil engineer and a fan of also environment and all this sustainability. But my question is, looking into the landscape that has been shown in the roadmap, although my impressions might be those vehicles are all imported. I might be wrong, but where do the producers are going to be in the landscape here, or maybe the research and development efforts, or the support of the banks or any of those who had money to support those, so that the complete cycle of those market cycle. Because I'm not really fan of importing things, but I don't know, of all among the thought leaders here, what are your thoughts about supporting it? And also, final question is, since I do also projects in the consulting firms, it's always the money and the policies are a problem. So I don't know what are the gaps that you want to tell the president or any of those legislators around. Maybe the brother of our mayor could be close enough to get the message across. But anyway, I think I said all those pieces, but maybe any thoughts on those questions?
Sure, thank you. Freddie, you want to tackle that?
Yeah, no, I like where you're coming from, and I agree, no? But it's also premised on the practicability and the scale. All of us are getting it from China right now because that's where the cost savings are. To be able to localize manufacturing, and it can be that you need scale. And for us, what we're seeing, Dennis posted his slide, I posted my slide. We think that the ecosystems we're building here are exportable. Okay, so where we're coming from is when we talk about what we are exporting here is the entire system, what our know-how and all of that. And that allows us to tell our manufacturing partners, hey, if we're exporting from here, or if we're doing the contracts from here, let's localize your manufacturing. And now, this is the other thing you've got to remember about electric vehicles. No? Everybody in the world wants to localize production, everyone. So at the end of the day, what you will be exporting from here, if ever we do export, is the rolling chassis. Because they will most probably do the local bodybuilding dun sa mga countries nila. That's how it's going to happen. That's what we expect is going to happen. So the advantage the Philippines is really going to have is not on the manufacturing side, it's on the system side. It's our knowledge of all these things. Why are those partners we're talking to not talking to China? Why are they talking to us? Because we're presenting a system, not a vehicle. No, so I think that's the advantage the Philippines has. If we can roll out a working ecosystem here, we're exporting an ecosystem, not just a physical product. I think if this country wants to be competitive, that's where it's at. My 2 cents.
Thank you, Freddie. Yeah, so I think what you see here in the panel is 2 already who are potentially exporting the system, right? So yeah, Freddie for looking into Ecuador and Djibouti and Malaysia, and Dennis already going into Bangkok and other ASEAN countries. So it's the system and the platform, I think, that is exportable. Maybe unknown to all of you also is that a lot of automotive parts, not only for the electronic components of cars, a lot of them are made in the Philippines. We're just not putting together the whole car, okay? Or certainly not the whole EV. Next question.
Hi, my name's Howie. I've been a battery EV owner for the past over a year now. So I was originally going to ask 2 questions, but my first question is kind of tangential to JP's question because I live in an Ayala Land Premier condo here in Makati, and before I bought the EV, I actually asked the admin, am I allowed to install a charger? They said, hey, APMC is commissioning a study on feasibility. So it sounded very encouraging at the start. So I went ahead and bought one. Then months later, they said, no, sorry, we can't allow you. The study's finished. It's technically feasible, but we're not doing it. So that's why. So they cited a couple of concerns. First was there's low demand right now, so it's not worth doing it. The second was safety concerns, fire concerns, which is yeah, it's plausible. It's a legitimate concern, and they also cited that well, there might be jealousy. So as they said, if I install a charger first, the other owners might get jealous. Like, oh, I don't understand why. That's even a concern. So, but yeah, that was my first question. How is there something that we can do? Like, can I talk to someone with APMC to expedite this process to have it installed since it was found to be feasible in the first place? And the second question would be to Mayor West. Because I read through the EVIDA law and the comprehensive roadmap on EVs, and while it cites multiple government agencies that are supposed to work together, I can't find one that's essentially it's going to be enforcing the law or ensuring compliance, especially with older buildings. Is it going to be the LGU? Is it going to be Department of Energy? I don't think the DOE can just sanction buildings. Probably it's the LGU. But is there going to be an IRR with more teeth down the line?
I'll take the first question, Howie. And first, I really appreciate you coming forward and recognizing the benefits of battery electric vehicles quite early. You know, I don't know what exact property you're talking about, but I think you're talking about a dynamic that frankly a lot of users face with regards to adoption here, which is if they live in a condominium, you have to deal with the governance structure of the condominium corp. And there are some nuances there that I probably need to understand to provide the right kind of feedback. But with that being said, I'd like to reiterate that, again, there are a variety of different solutions that we at ACMobility are creating to be able to bring the resource to you with the relevant amount of infrastructure that your condominium corp will allow. So whether that be, you know, the DC charging mobile truck, the power on wheel service, whether it be minimal infrastructure for a small DC charger, or even some small AC solutions, we can work on a variety of different formats to make sure you get your charging solution to you when you need it. So I think there's a lot of availability of that. We need to do more to talk about that, and we can work closely with Ayala on this one.
And thank you for the question. For the second one, actually in the EVIDA law, it's actually DOE who's the one monitoring and executing all the parameters that were designed on the EV framework. Though at that time that we passed this framework, kumbaga, hilaw pa ito ng konti. It was an infant stage where I think hopefully this 19th Congress or maybe the next 20th Congress should look on amending and updating because technology is very fast. Ang daming nag-iiba dyan. On the local level, yes, it's the OBO who's technically will be checking the buildings, the electrical, and this high-rise building or vertical buildings all of them needs electrical permits naman. So it's really the OBO who's going to be checking this. I know where you're looking at on your question. I think the limitations right now are with condominium owners, and we're glad that Jaime cleared this matter on the first question. But in the case of the Valenzuela, I just want to share to you that Valenzuela City, we're more of horizontal. We don't have much vertical, luckily, no. So this is the reason why I believe that with the installation of this available charging station soon, this will promote homeowners who have house and lots, no, not only condominiums, to shift to EVs. And likewise, if they, in some way, the LGUs are good promoters as well. So if they see that the LGUs are confident, willing to take the risk in changing to EVs, I'm sure the rest of my constituents would, this would have an impact on the mindset and would eventually promote to change to EV.
Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you. For those of you who are not familiar with the term OBO, in LGU speak, that is the Office of the Building Official. Okay, so OBO, OBO, Office of Building Official, those are the guys who give all the, construction permits, building permits, okay, so that's so clear. Okay, I know there's a long lineup and we have time for only two more questions, so let's take them in consecutively and then we'll get the panel to answer, and then there's gonna be opportunity when we serve refreshments to ask more questions as well. So please go ahead, the first question and then the second.
Thank you very
Right
much.
behind you.
Toto Bosses from Auto Group. Take this opportunity to all gentlemen, especially the businesses, that my question is in the training. Second is about business opportunity, and the other one is the fiscal and non-fiscal incentives, which is everything is under the EBITDA and the CREPI during that creation. For the training education, we all know that in the EBITDA, it should be aligned with the education and the training to support, including on the adoption. Now, my question is, I think we all forgotten about what's next for the education, the training. We have a lot of school, especially in Valenzuela. We're working with Valenzuela School, Valenzuela Technological College. There's a lot of school who need most training and for the industry. Now, whenever we talk with the industry players, especially the big one, they don't have an interest on this kind of area. But we all know this is part of the adoption. Those customers, those children, or those students who are studying right now could be the future buyer of your EVs, and also the future technician of the EV. So if we don't have a support right now for the education, then we will have a problem. That's one question. Second is business opportunities. I think everybody have in the logistics, in the transport, but there are few only players who knows this opportunity. It should be shared to all the shareholders, especially all the dealers, importers, distributors, so that we can really do the adoption in a much more in a shorter time. Because if we will be doing this for a few only, very sorry, Sir Jaime, for example, only BYD knows about what's the opportunity on this area, then BYD itself cannot make it a bigger volume on this EV businesses. So better have to be shared for everyone so that we can prepare, everybody can prepare. And the other one is we have to push government, somebody here have to push the government, still forgotten the fiscal and non-fiscal incentive that everybody's waiting. There's a lot to be played with. So these three, sir, gentlemen, that I want to.
Sure, thank you. Let's take the one last question from the gentleman behind you. And then we'll answer the questions.
Hello, my name's Miguel Corral. I'm actually an intern under TSI, which is Technology Strategy and Innovations in Globe Telecom. So as we all know, in the Philippines, most of our electrical power grids still rely on non-renewable energy sources. So if we are to put up EV charging stations, this might undermine the environmental benefits that we are trying to achieve. So for my question, how can we say that we're truly ready for a widespread EV adoption? And should we focus more of our efforts in finding renewable energy sources to maximize the sustainability of the shift?
Okay, thanks. So for the first question on training, let me pass to Mayor West. Second question on the opportunities, Dennis, for your mom and pop, I think it's a good model. And the last question on renewables, Jaime. Mayor West.
Thank you to the gentleman who asked the question from Auto Hub Group. So we will be signing very soon on the partnership with my new college, Techvo College, which is Valtech. So in Valtech, actually, just to share to the body, we are very lucky that Valenzuela is home of the depot for the subway and the North-South commuter railway, as I mentioned to Architect June a while ago. Both depots are situated in Valenzuela. So what I did, even if these two projects are not yet done and it will still take time, I've already opened a rail institute in partnership also with the OTR. So we'll be training already and preparing because our arrangement or partnership with JICA is only on building the facility, which in turn, actually it's a loan that the Philippine government loan from the Japan government. After they build this, they will stay here for a few years. But after that, what's next? So with all this mass transport in place, let's not forget an MRT7 coming in. We just opened the LRT extension in PITX. And likewise, NSCR. With all of this, no, we will be needing a lot of Filipino manpowers. So Valtech already started with our course. We have 100 students already entering in a real institute course. And eventually, hopefully, it will grow big. So my next target is actually the EV industry. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think Willie would know more than me and Jaime. All we need here, ito ang maganda dito comparing maybe to, for example, to Don Bosco, who's accepting automotive. No? We also have automotive. But in EVs, in the EV industry, I think you only need electrical courses or electrical graduates. We are very happy to offer this in Valtech. We have a couple of students already. And what's good about this is they have the option of a short-term course and a long-term course. Or the long-term course is what we call bachelor's degree. But there's also a TESDA degree. So Valtech can offer both of that, which in turn prepares the manpower for future brands like your brand and BYD. So we're trying to make this big, hopefully. And what's important is to bring the interest for not only the industry or the knowledge about EV, but the interest to take courses relating to EV. And that's what we want to pioneer as well in Valenzuela City.
Thank you, Mayor West. Dennis, over to you on the business opportunities.
Yeah, I think we're not keeping this among ourselves. I mean, that's my thought, right? I'll give you an example. We've been doing business with the like of IKEA, the like of the FMCG. These companies, they offer the other TSP, the transport service provider, to transition to EV. They're given the chance, but they did not take the chance. I always say that I'm the only crazy guy who jumped into the logistic EV, and he's the only crazy guy who jumped into the mass transport, right? So, in fact, we are offered to serve the whole fleet. But for us, I realized that, we should only take, let's say 35-40% of the business and help the mom and pop transition. That's the reason why in my deck, I was saying that Mobile would like to help the small truckers to transition to EV smoothly, right? Because we also know, as an entrepreneur, one company will not put all eggs in one basket, right? So I'm just trying to get the sweet spot number so that we can get the market share, but at the same time, we help the mom and pops. But in the end, we also, if you look at it, we take the whole share, but we also give the mom and pops a chance to continue their business. So in our space, sadly, there are so many logistic companies, now big, they're doing a greenwashing. They just announced that we also have EV now. If you ask them, how many EVs do you have? We have 2 out of 2,000. So, I mean, we have to also understand that this journey is not just going to the press and say, hey, we're also doing EV. You have to take this seriously.
Thanks, Dennis. Thanks, Dennis. Let's go to Jaime. Last question on source of energy, source of power.
This is Miguel, was your name from Globe. Thanks for the question, Miguel. I think you're hitting on a really important point, right? Is that the reason why we adopt a lot of these innovations is not because they solve 100% of the problem, right? We're going to need to incur some costs, whether it be a little bit of emissions in the extraction part of the supply chain, and making sure we're mitigating. I think we adopt these innovations because they can get us incrementally in a better position at scale. And frankly, I think when we're talking about EVs and having a sustainable sort of mobility ecosystem, the charging station ecosystem is a big part of that. And very often, they're sourcing from the grid itself, which is made up of a portfolio of different sources, some which may be emitting more emissions. I think there are two solutions that you could have to creating it. First of all, it's a recognition actually that when you're developing the charging ecosystem, you have a choice, like you do as any other corporation, whether you want to adhere to these targets or not. There are certain consequences if you do or you don't. There's market consequences. Maybe an investor may not be willing to deploy more capital because they see that you're not being accountable to the way you're developing your profits. That's one issue. But secondly, you could also maybe lose some consumers who find it attractive to be in a fully sustainable ecosystem. So I want to reiterate, it's a choice. You do not have to make it. We are encouraging people to do it. But we in ACMobility feel it's important to have our ecosystem fully renewable. And we're making it a target to have 100% of our network renewable by the time we develop and stabilize the growth here. We can do it in two ways. One is we can deploy the charging stations into development estates or buildings that negotiate renewable contracts, whether that be an SM, a Robinsons, Ayala Land, ensuring that the developers we're working with are sourcing renewable energy is one way. But secondly, for those that are not in developments that are sourcing renewable energy, we could theoretically aggregate that capacity. I think the minimum amount is 500 kilowatts or a certain amount of capacity required. And you could negotiate for renewable contracts there. So there's a couple of tools that we have to incrementally make the ecosystem more renewable over time. It's a decision that the companies are allowed to make. We think it's important because we think that more consumers will want to opt into an ecosystem that's more renewable and more sustainable over time. So I hope that answers your question, Miguel.
Okay. Thank you, Jaime. I'm sorry, I know we have a lot of questions, but we don't have enough time.
Just about a minute, sir.
1 minute, please.
Yeah. First of all, I'm Blue Tank of City Style magazine. I never had experience about EV, only at the time that when Ayala Mall had this Libreng Sakay from Metro Point to Ayala Mall, Manila Bay, and I had experience of riding the first electric public vehicle. It's a free ride that they made since last year, right? It's seamless because I've ridden a private car, but not an electric public vehicle. In the last electric vehicle summit, Christine was flashing during that summit. Thanks to your top lady of ACMobility, her name's Marianne. I don't know if she's here. Hello?
Carla Buencamino?
Yes, I met her. I had all sorts of questions about the battery during flooding. She's the lady that answered fully all the guys there that had, all these weird things about the battery. Yes. And nobody could believe her that she's the top woman at the ACMobility. She's an engineer. And thanks for giving the woman the chance to be right on top of it.
I wish I could show you my management committee. There's a lot of feminine energy there.
She was very friendly. She was very quiet there. We didn't know she was the top woman there. But anyway, I just had one question about it. But she really made it clear to me how the batteries work. And, because I was saying, can we just put it up so that when it's flooding, it doesn't, but he said, no, it's big. And so I went back to Ayala Mall, Manila Bay, and I rode your electric free vehicle. You know that? That's from Metro Point to Ayala.
That might be Freddie's
I asked questions about it, and they said, really, no maintenance cost, what you were saying, Congressman. Okay, so I'm really fully sold it, except how do we end up? We're gonna end up with so many batteries. They're so big, right? So are we going to recycle it or paano ba yan? Are we going to have a junkyard that can get all the different metals,
Okay,
and then recycle it or something?
Okay, let's give.
Parang junkyard,
Let's
so that we
let's
can
give
recycle
Dennis
those.
and Freddie.
There are precious metals, right?
Yes. Let's give Dennis and
Maybe
Freddie
if I
a
could
chance
just
to answer
start off,
that.
Dennis
Yeah.
and Freddie, and then have you take over. I do think this image of a junkyard where a lot of dead batteries rely. I think this is actually there's a lot of use cases for this type of technology, particularly on storage, and it goes hand in hand with a lot of the sustainability and renewable energy that a lot of markets are trying to promote. The issue with sustainable mobility, renewable technology, particularly renewable power, is that it's intermittent. You receive sources of power when the wind is strong or when the sun is strong, and you'll need new ways to store it. There are a lot of different solutions which can recycle the batteries as battery storage units for a lot of that renewable capacity. So that's I think one encouraging development that could be looked at a little bit more. But maybe Dennis and Mayor have a couple other thoughts.
Yes, so long as they don't end up in the landfill,
Dennis, go ahead.
Okay, in our case, our battery capacity is 60 kilowatt, 80 and 100 kilowatts, right? So in EV, I think there's around 20 degradation, right? When the battery down to 80%, that battery cannot be used for EV anymore. But that battery can be used for something else. For example, that battery can power a house. That battery can power a refrigerator. No? So there's a use case. We call it the second life of the battery.
It's good, sustainable.
Okay.
Yeah, like you're right, Freddie.
Then he said is actually the truth. No? And I think just to make it clear to everyone, your image of batteries in landfills are the lead acid batteries. Okay, that's the reason you've got this image in your mind. What Dennis is saying is the second life. I mean, if we're saying the batteries are guaranteed for 5 years, and in this case now 8 years, in 8 years' time, the battery is down to 80%. It's not zero. And that's why that's the second life. So that's why in our office, pinag-aagawan na who gets the second life of the batteries, right? They're all lining up. I said, no, sorry, I started this. I'm going to get the first second life battery. But it's still a ways away. So I think that fear, we'd like to make it clear here. I don't know where that whole notion started. But you shouldn't worry about the batteries ending up in dumps because they've got a second life. And like you said, there's a lot of recyclable material there. You can't recycle the lead acids. You can recycle the lithiums.
Okay, thank you. And let me. I'm afraid we're out of time. So, however, after we close, we're going to serve refreshments right outside here. And there's going to be time to ask more questions directly from our panel of speakers. And speaking of the free shuttle services, actually we had one going today, courtesy of Freddie. You can write a comment between here, Ayala Tower 2, and back to 6750 in Ayala Center. So if you had parked your car there, you can get a free ride back to 6750 area on a comment, which is electric. So please join me in thanking our 4 risk takers today. Alfonso, Zobel, Gatchalian, Freddie, Tinga, and Dennis Nam. Thank you for joining us at Liveable Cities Lab. Our next one will be December 3rd in General Santos City, so you can catch that on Zoom and Facebook. And we will also be December 12th just on Zoom on technology in the city, and that will be the last one of the year. So thank you very much, and we invite everybody outside for refreshments. Thank you.
Very fast. Kind of a main character in the show at this point. Let's go, guys. Thank you.
Battery life, may second life. May second life.
Second life.
Sige. May EJ po sa akin. Yung bansa ko, birthday party. Party, or
Pero kami yung komunikal.
Diba dati sa inyo, first one in your building? Thank you. How are you? Curious ako. Kami na in Philippines at kasi yun, wala yung state of mind. Mas marami. Sila kami because we have some repairs. Absolutely great. We have one now, pero lumipad type. Pero hindi lang ang building sa one. It's called one command center. Around there. For the ano yun? AI reading. AI technology.
Hello po, good afternoon. For those who are joining EV guided tour, we will be moving in 15 minutes. Assembly is just by the registration po. Thank you.
May SM. Meron din sila. Hindi ko lang pa dinagdag.